Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Class is in session. Please be seated. Behaviors that get attention get repeated. Avoid the power struggle cause it will get you heated. Listen to Amanda cause she knows how to teach it. Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Yeah, yeah,
Hello and welcome to the Parenting with a Punch show. I'm your host, Amanda Houle, founder of Parenting with a Punch. We are in season 4, episode 2. I have a lovely guest here with me today, Robyn Parets. She is the founder of Pretzel Kids Yoga, former journalist and business coach to female entrepreneurs. Let's give her a warm welcome. Hello, Robyn.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's so wonderful to have you here. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you.
So well, of course, because for many of our listeners, they probably may or may not know, I am also a Pretzel Kids Yoga teacher. So I'm even more excited to have you on the show.
Yay.
Yeah. So
yeah,
tell
I
us
love
about
that you're
Pretzel
teaching
Kids.
Pretzel Kids.
Yeah. So tell us about the business and how you got started.
Yeah, so it's sort of taken many forms over the years. Pretzel Kids began as a kids yoga program under the umbrella of my former yoga studio in suburban Boston. So at the time, like most yoga studios, our classes were for adults. Mm-hmm. I ran a 200-hour teacher training course, so I trained adult yoga teachers. And one day I got a call, this was probably about 10, 12 years ago, I got a call from a local school in the community asking if we had a yoga teacher available to teach a children's yoga class after school. So of course I thought, well, yeah, I have a yoga studio in town. I have a lot of yoga teachers. So I asked one of my yoga teachers to go over and teach the class if she was interested, and she was. And I thought it would be a great fit. She was a great adult vinyasa teacher, very skilled, knew her yoga stuff. Mm-hmm. And after that class, she came back into the studio and said, that is not for me. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea how, I'm serious, had no idea what to do when faced with 10 kindergartners.
Right.
And that was really my first sort of light bulb moment when I thought, wow, teaching kids yoga is truly a different ballgame than teaching adults in pretty much every way. And just because you're a skilled adult yoga teacher doesn't mean you can just step into a classroom and know what to do with kids, because how you're going to teach is going to be vastly different than teaching adults.
Yes.
Amanda, you can't take a bunch of kids and put them in lines and have them do sun salutations and have them be on their mat because they want to be on their mat.
Yeah, no.
You've got to figure out something else to do to captivate them and keep them engaged and interested.
Be creative. Yep.
Exactly. So I decided, well, maybe I should do something about this, because in the market there were very few kids yoga classes at the time, and there were almost zero trainings available, which is why you had this glut of adult yoga teachers, but no one really specialized, at least in my area, in kids yoga. So I actually wrote a curriculum for it with 2 school teachers who also were yoga teachers. And we got together and we spent the next year kind of figuring out how to structure and manage a class, how to write lesson plans, how to teach these classes. And once we had that, the 3 of us started going out into the community and teaching this curriculum, which we aptly called Pretzel Kids. And we had tremendous success with it.
Awesome.
And from there, that's sort of how it all started. We decided to bottle the program and the curriculum and began offering teacher trainings, weekend teacher trainings, so that others could learn to teach this and run successful kids yoga classes without feeling like, no, I can't do this. And, it really worked. So it was really just a program for several years. And then in 2016, there were a lot of shifts and changes in the yoga market. It was becoming quite competitive, and there was a studio in every corner. And there really, honestly, were more yoga teachers, adult yoga teachers, than there were jobs available.
Right.
And it was sort of at that point that I had my second aha moment. And I'm like, all right, it's time to close and sell the studio and spin Pretzel Kids off into its own venture, its own company. So that's what I did. And at that time, I developed an online program. So the same training that we were running on the weekends, I adapted to an online format, self-paced, so people around the globe could take the Pretzel Kids teacher training and begin teaching our classes. And then from there, which is the latest incarnation, just 2 weeks ago, we launched our brand new web platform. So I am super excited about that, and that's sort of the next evolution of Pretzel Kids with a tech spin. So at this point, those who take the training can opt to join our subscription membership. And for that, they get ongoing teaching resources every month in the way of lesson plans and other resources. They license the brand name Pretzel Kids, so they can call their classes Pretzel Kids and use our logos for marketing. We provide them with other marketing and business templates to use to secure classes. And perhaps the most exciting thing of all is with the new web platform, our member teachers can list their classes so they can take enrollments right off of the Pretzel Kids website, create their profile, and get hired directly for jobs. So we have a hire a teacher button on the page where schools and studios and gyms can go on and find a skilled yoga teacher right there on the site. So it's super exciting for both me and those of us who have worked really hard to bring this to fruition, as well as all of the teachers who can now use our resources to run their own successful businesses and classes.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, the website looks great. It's, again, as a Pretzel Kids yoga teacher myself, and really diving into, building my own kids yoga business, I think it's just so exciting. And as you know, there's so much research out there, and how much it benefits children.
Right. I think that's one of the most exciting things of all. It's the research that we had actually done and information that I've known for years, a decade plus, is now common knowledge. And it took a while to get there, like anything. So we were ahead of the curve. And back when I developed the brand and curriculum, it was too early, too soon in the market to have the type of platform that we now have, that we just launched. Mm-hmm. So the demand had to rise to the level, and the technology had to, be more accessible to everybody, which it now is. So I look at it as like, okay, you can have a great idea, but if the time isn't right, you may need to wait. And that was really what happened with Pretzel Kids. We had more than a great idea. We had a business model, but we had to wait until the time was right and the market was there. And parents everywhere now understand and value mindfulness for their children, not just parents, but schools. Schools all over the country are looking for skilled teachers to bring in and teach these kids, because if you start at the earliest levels, research has proven that those kids will be more social, and even have better math skills. So you're dealing with everything from socio-emotional development to actually better cognitive thinking. So it's really remarkable.
Yeah, it really is incredible. And of course, I mean, I've been sort of adopting the mindfulness approach, although, I mean, gosh, it's probably been since since at least 2009, but we weren't using the word mindfulness when it came to children. So just really just like battling, children that were struggling with social emotional development, that had struggles with communicating, using their words, and seeing, and just using the positive reinforcement, which instills right into, the yoga curriculum for the kids, and really just kind of transforms into like a whole new level of children just, being able to recognize where their body is in space, and just kind of use those tools that they can learn in yoga, and apply it to like every day, when, not even necessarily knowing that they're doing it.
Right. Yeah, it's super exciting, and we've seen such success with the kids that have taken our classes and programs, and some of our teachers even work one-on-one with kids. They use the Pretzel Kids curriculum, which is very plug and play, so you can use it for whole classes, and we have lesson plans and themes and all that fun stuff. Or if you're working with a child one-on-one or two-on-one type situation, you may just want to work on 5 minutes of breathing. And you can just sort of grab those ideas, those breathing practices and ideas right out of our manual. And so it gives teachers a lot of different options, and even parents. Some parents have taken the course and they don't even want to teach classes. They just want to improve their own knowledge base, so they can work with their own kids, or maybe help their own kids go to sleep at night. So there's just so much value to this, and that's what gets me jazzed. Every day.
Agreed.
I think so excited.
It is very exciting. I'm so grateful that we crossed paths, and and that you started this curriculum, because I think now, for parents that are listening, can you walk us through just like a basic class? Or like
sure. So each of our classes has a beginning, middle, and end, which is important to point out, even though it might seem obvious. But I think what the feedback I've been getting over the years, and it's been a lot of years that I've been in the trenches here, teaching yoga, both adult and kids, but oftentimes kids yoga is more akin to daycare. So, for example, there'll be an adult yoga class, and the parents will drop their kids off at the kids yoga class, but really they'll do sort of a few poses and then kind of run around. And that's what we are not. We are a curriculum-based and structured program, which parents love, because each class will start in the same way, but there might be different content in that beginning, for example. So we always will start with a centering or a grounding activity, typically in a circle. And then from there, we'll do typically a breathing practice. It might be just 2 minutes, but something to help the kids center, ground, and focus. And from there, the class will move forward and we'll build up with some warm-ups. And then from the warm-ups, we might do some sun salutations. The sun salutations might have a little twist depending on the theme. And then we'll play some games, usually one big game, maybe a big game and a smaller game. And these games incorporate yoga. So it's not like, they're all educational. They're learning the poses, but they're doing it in a really fun way so that the kids love it. The goal is that they want to come back. And they're having so much fun. It doesn't feel like necessarily yoga to them. So, because they have ideas in their mind, like, my mom made me take this yoga class. I'm just going to sit there. And so we make it so much fun for them that they're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait for next week. Each week we change it up with a different theme. And we're also big, and then to finish the class, there's, of course, a relaxation at the end, which I won't give that away. You'll have to sign your kids up to see what a Pretzel Kids relaxation is all about.
Absolutely.
But we do some different things. It's Shavasana-based, but we have our own little spin on it so that, again, even when they're relaxing, they love it. And that's really key, that they look forward to the end of the class when they get to relax. so that hopefully for the parents, when they come pick their kids up, whether the class is at school, a lot of our classes are school-based, so teachers will hire Pretzel Kids teachers to come in, and then some of them are open for the public to register at studios or gyms and places like that. And regardless of where they're held, the kids are in a better frame of mind when they leave the class than when they start. So that's the goal.
Absolutely. Awesome. Now, so you're also a mama of how old are your children?
My kids are grown. My oldest is 23 and my youngest is 20. And I also have a stepson who's 18. So there are 3 boys.
Oh, awesome. All boys.
Yeah, all boys. And when I started Pretzel Kids, when it first came to me as that idea, my kids were 3 and 6. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were little. So I ran the program as they were kind of growing up through the preschool years all the way up through high school.
Right.
And yeah, now they're grown and flown. So it's a whole new new life.
And how did you find, I mean, did they enjoy the yoga?
Yeah, they did. And in different ways.
Of course.
My oldest resisted it. And I think that's really common with kids, especially with anything mom or dad does.
Right.
Whether it be yoga or whatever their career is. So he had some resistance to it at the beginning because it was like, this is what mom does. I don't want to do this.
Of course.
But he's come around. As he got older, he came around and recognized how important it is to take a step back and breathe. And the physical part of yoga, the actual asanas, never really appealed to him. He kind of did his own thing, and that was fine. But I think it gave him a self-awareness that he wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right.
And my youngest, on the other hand, is a professional ballet dancer. Okay. And the focus that he gained through yoga as a young child, he's carried with him through his career choice and life right now, where even though the movement in ballet, it's a slow dance compared to some others, of course, but and it's faster than yoga for sure. Right. But the flexibility and the balance that he's achieved on a physical level, I don't know that he would have had without his yoga. And he is very mindful in his choices in life.
Awesome. That's
in
really
his
cool.
Food choice, everything from his food choices, what he puts into his body, to how he approaches situations. So it's really nice to see.
Oh, that really is. I mean, the mind, body, and soul connection with yoga. I think, for anybody that practices yoga, whether they do it on a regular basis or just sort of, are new to adopting it. I mean, I've had plenty of friends that are kind of new to it. And I mean, the benefits they say are it's just unbelievable. And then you bring it to the kids. I mean,
and it has the same benefits for kids that it does for adults. Yes. And that's why, everyone says, oh, I wish I started when I was a kid. Well, this is a way that kids can start. And maybe they'll carry it into their adult lives and maybe they won't. Ultimately, that will be their choice, right, as they grow up. But you can still, as parents, instill this in your kids from a young age and hope that they carry it through their lives. I mean, kids are so stressed today. It's a whole different world than when I grew up. It really is. And even different from when my kids were younger. Yep. I see just major shifts. The pressure for kids to be involved in this, that, and everything after school, and the parents running them around from activity to activity. And we find that with yoga, their parents will say, well, I don't have time to bring my kid to yoga. So my answer to that is, well, why? Because you're pressuring them to do a gazillion other activities. Right. When, one yoga class a week can give them lifelong benefits. And maybe these other activities won't. Maybe they will. But absolutely, it's just, if you have 3 activities a week on your docket, take the least favorite off and put yoga in its place. Right.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. It's, again, right back to the mindfulness piece. adopting these strategies from a young age, because of the work that I've been doing with families and what I see, because children feed off their parents' energy too. So if they're able to, enroll their children in a practice that's practicing more mindfulness, it really ends up being a completely transforming experience.
Yeah. Well, another thing we found is that with the schools, so many schools now want it as part of the curriculum, particularly the preschools, which is really awesome. Public schools, it can be tough because of all the different state regulations and
license,
limited PE that's now in public schools. So that's been tough.
Yes.
But getting into the private schools and the preschools and the daycares has been a real boon to Pretzel Kids. So we find that the demand is through the roof, and the preschools know that parents are actually looking for this in the schools now, which they never used to. Parents are specifically looking for the types of programming that the preschools offer besides the ABCs.
Right, yep.
And the basic learning skills. So what else is there? What's your art program? What's your music program? And now what's your yoga program?
Right, yep.
So when schools can say, oh, we offer Pretzel Kids Yoga, that's awesome, because now the parents can go onto our site and see, oh, wow, my kids are getting a curriculum-based yoga and mindfulness program at their preschool.
And you just recently taught for the Red Sox, correct?
Yeah, that was really pretty awesome. But yeah, myself and one of our other Pretzel Kids teachers went with me, Jill, and we had a blast. We taught a class for kids of the players.
Awesome.
In the Red Sox family room, and that was a ton of fun. And these kids were young. They were sort of the 2 to 4 set, so they were definitely that young preschool age. And it was just one class, but we had a lot of fun. We did an ocean theme, and the kids had a blast.
Oh, awesome! Very, very cool. So, what would be your if parents were inquiring to book a Pretzel Kids yoga class, whether it be for their children's preschool or private or birthday party, what would you, if they were debating, what would you say to them? And
well, I would say that not all yoga is created equal. Likewise, not all kids yoga is created equal.
Yes.
So really be more discerning about the teacher and the yoga program that you find for your kids. In other words, and this is just through experience, even though your best friend's aunt might be a yoga teacher, it doesn't mean that she knows how to teach kids yoga.
Yes.
So find out what her training is.
Right.
Has she taken a kids yoga training course? Is it curriculum based? Is it structured? What goes into that class? Ask the questions.
Yep.
So that would be my first advice. And now we have tons of resources on our site, on the Pretzel Kids website. We've got an awesome blog filled with stories on mindfulness and yoga and the importance and what to look for in a class.
Yes.
So parents can go right to our blog and read all kinds of great stories. And there's a profile on you too in there, Amanda, so they can read about Amanda and some of our other teachers. We do teacher profiles every month, and that's a super exciting thing because it gives the teachers an opportunity to talk about themselves and their skills.
Right.
We also have a really nice resource on our site, on the footer of the site. It's just called For Parents. So parents can go there, and it talks a little bit about what differentiates the Pretzel Kids yoga curriculum from other programs out there. And you can read about it, and you can see more about what Pretzel Kids is. And if this interests you at all, you can book a birthday party with us. You can find a class, or you can even request a class.
Right.
So right now we're in the process of uploading all of the classes from our Pretzel Kids teachers. It's taking a little bit of time because where the site is brand new. We had a site before, but the actual platform, web platform, is brand new. So there's a lot of classes up there. Some of them are school-based, so they can't just sign their kids up unless they go to that school.
Right. Yep.
Right. And others are public classes. And another thing we do, which I've done with a bunch of teachers thus far, is if a parent doesn't see a class available for their kid's age in their community, they can click on a little button that says request a class, and they can send a note. I'll get the note, send a note to me about what they're looking for, where they live, how old their child is, and I will do my best to match them with a teacher in their community. And if there is no teacher in their community, we have teachers coming on daily. And another thing we can do for parents is we do private classes.
Yep.
So I had a parent, for example, call me last year before we even had the web platform, and really was looking for a class on a Saturday at 11 o'clock. And we just didn't have any at that time. And she was in the Boston area at 11 o'clock that were at any studios that she could sign up for, not through the Pretzel Kids curriculum and program. So what I told her is, I said, look, if you can gather 4 friends, well, I'll send a teacher to you. And she was elated. She had an empty space in her basement and a big backyard. So when the weather was nice, we go outside. When it wasn't nice, we'd be inside. And a teacher, Pretzel Kids teacher, went to her house, so that was less stress on her. And the kids were all in the neighborhood, and they came there, and we did a Pretzel Kids class. So that was a perfect solution for her because she could work that around her schedule that worked for the other kids as well. So we do that too. And that's a nice service that we offer that a lot of other kids yoga programs do not.
Right. And there's also a curriculum based for children with special needs and teens and tweens, correct? So it goes.
Yeah, and that's really awesome. So
I agree.
and that's good for parents too. We also have an online course called How to Teach Mindfulness to Kids. And that's our newest offering, and that's not our certification program. But if you go to the Pretzel Kids website and just scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll see a button that says courses. And if you click on that button, you'll be able to see all of the courses that we offer online in addition to the teacher certification course. So the mindfulness one has been a real top seller because it gives parents some really nice tips and tools for mindfulness activities with their kids. And then, of course, we have teaching teen and tweens and teaching yoga for kids with special needs. That's great for teachers that are already out there teaching kids yoga that want to sort of add to their wheelhouse, or even parents that just want to learn a little bit more. So those standalone courses are not part of the main certification. They're more add-ons and available to anyone that just wants to add more tools.
Right. Cool. Awesome. So it's pretzelkids.com, correct?
Yeah. So it's pretty easy. And what's really nice is it's actually spelled exactly how it's supposed to be. I mean, these days you never know. All these websites are taking out all the vowels and adding in extra letters, but we're just pretzel like the snack food. Kids like multiple kids, KIDS. So pretzelkids.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the Pretzel Kids is located out of Boston, but there's teachers obviously can take the
Yeah, I mean, we're based out of Boston because this is where I live.
Of course.
But we are a digital platform, and we are global now. Our teachers are all over the United States, and then we also have teachers now in the UK, Israel, Australia, New Zealand, the Caribbean, a few other places as well.
Amazing.
So it's really amazing to see how this is spread like wildflower in a good way. The majority of our teachers right now, although that's changing fast, are in New England because this is where my studio was when I first started having the weekend courses years ago. So we've got hundreds probably just out of this region of the country, and we're, now have teachers all over because they can go online and study digitally. So it's really cool.
Yes, absolutely. So any parents that are listening that are in the New England area, or any of those that are interested in taking the course, I can vouch for it. It is, if you have experience in working with kids, or if you don't, it is such an awesome, fun, creative curriculum. I am super excited to be teaching it, and I've seen the benefits firsthand with the kids, just in general, in teaching yoga. And so visit the website, pretzelkids.com.
Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Class is in session. Please be seated. Behaviors that get attention get repeated. Avoid the power struggle cause it will get you heated. Listen to Amanda cause she knows how to teach it. Yo, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Oh, this ain't parents out to lunch. No, this is parenting with the punch. Yeah.